Peace, everyone. This is Elder Jeffrey Blair here at the St. Louis branch of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Welcome to Friday Night Bible Study. We're so thankful that you guys are here with us today. And as you guys start to come into the channel, also want to introduce some of my friends that I brought along with us to have a great dynamic discussion about the Word of our Father and our God and of our forefathers. First, I'd like to introduce Minister Anthony. Peace, Minister Anthony.
Hey, peace. How you doing?
Right, here myself and the leadership here in the St. Louis branch. Also, we have Shelby. Hey, Shelby.
Peace. Hey, how you doing?
All right, very good. And then we have Veronica. First time on, I think, first time with us, right? First time for Friday night. Great. Welcome, Veronica. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Peace, everyone.
All right. And then we got Dr. Jeffrey Blair, all the way from the West Coast.
Peace.
Where are you right now?
I am in Portland right now.
Portland, Oregon. All right. See,
Nice.
Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, coast to coast.
Yeah.
That's right. So we're on the West Coast. So no matter where you're at, you can connect with us. So thank you for being with us as you guys come in. Welcome, everybody. Please take the time now to share and to post this on social media so that maybe some of your friends and family can come in. You know, a lot of times Israelite information is hard to share with friends because they don't quite understand. But hey, here's an opportunity where you just give them the link and maybe they can jump on, ask questions, and maybe start the dialogue. So definitely share, like, comment. We want this to be a dialogue and discussion. So please feel free to utilize it in that way. So again, glad to be on. Glad to see everybody. We are actually taping this early in the week, but it is during our holy months of Ethanim. So I'd like to wish everybody happy Ethanim.
Yes, happy Ethanim.
Yes, happy Ethanim.
Happy Ethanim.
Absolutely, yes. It's our holy month, and you can definitely, if you guys are new to this channel, you can look and see. I think maybe 2 lessons ago, they even talked about Ethanim and gave some background on that. So a very significant month. Mm-hmm. And also here in the St. Louis branch, we just been about 2 weeks now that we had our Bible and Black Men seminar. This is the latest in that tour, and it was great. It was amazing. Any thoughts on that, Mr. Anthony or Shelby?
Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. We had a packed house. Lot of just interesting dialogue, right? Like we were saying, right? Whether you agree or disagree, right? The conversation needs to be had.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think it was such a bright spot. And it really shows a changing of the guard, right? Yeah. That more and more people are willing to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we had the local news come out, right?
Yeah.
Which was there. Yeah. Which was a surprise. So it was really good.
It was good. And thank you to everybody who came and visited, some of our brothers and friends that came out and from other states to come and join us. That was really, really great. Shout out to Elder Freddie. Shout out to Officer Doreen. Thank you guys so much for really helping to make the event a great, huge success. I can't wait to the next one. There's still a question mark as to where that will be. If you guys have recommendations on where the next Bible and Black Man seminar should be, put it in the chat, and you never know. Might be able to make that wish come through. You're right. Ain't that right, Dr. Jeffrey Blair?
West Coast.
Put your votes in the chat. Let's see. Where will we go next? All right. Okay. Well, hey, let's get started. We've been doing a series, something a little bit different. We've been kind of, when we first started this idea about the judges, we thought that we would probably do, it'd be more than one, but maybe like 3. So you can just hit the high notes. But then we started delving in it, and it's almost like one of those things. They say that there's that thing about which child will you leave, right? Like if you only have like a 3-seater car or 4-seater car and you got 5 kids, you're like, who do we leave? Like, I mean, I can't decide who to leave. Yeah, so as we start to go into it, we're like, we gotta talk about that, and we gotta talk about that. So we decided to do it instead of doing the high notes like that. We would actually, hey, if someone is interested in knowing about the Book of Judges, especially through the eyes of an Israelite and the way it was intended to be, the context, the full context, then we're gonna have some materials out there for you. So anything about the Book of Judges through this series, we're going to pretty much cover. So it's a deep dive, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm hearing good feedback. So we're going to continue that tonight.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah,
all right. Let's jump into it. All right, producer, you go to the first slide, and we'll just jump into it right now. Judges of Israel, Volume 5.
Wow. Wow. That we had trust me, guys, this was not the plan. This was not the original plan.
It was not. All right, let's go. So, again, if you want to get a full recap of kind of that theme of the chapter, you definitely go back to 1 through 4. You kind of see that. But generally speaking, and this was, to me, maybe, why this is so important, because in my journey in coming to the understanding of Israel, this book was an eye-opener. This is after, being born in the Christian denomination and growing up and with that understanding, knowing the Bible. I thought I knew the Bible backwards and forward. I went to church school, so I had Bible every day. I went to church even from like second grade all the way up to my first year in college. It was almost Bible school. So I felt like I know the Bible.
That's indoctrination on the highest level.
For real. So I know, and I feel I know, right? And so, but then I came to Israelite Nationwide Ministries and other Shadrach, opened my eyes to what I really don't know. Knowledge is one thing, but understanding is another. And one of the things I never had full context about is the Book of Judges and understanding about how the God of Israel punishes his people, and namely slavery. And that connection, because being here in America, the descendant of slaves here in the Americas and the former United States of America, but also the Caribbean, I saw the connection, and I could see it over and over again as you go through the script, not just one place or one verse, but you see it in the whole trajectory in history. And so it just made a lot of sense to me. And so that's why this book of Judges really resonates with me.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I've learned so much since we've started that I'm always excited when we come back to it. We're almost at the end, and it's still other parts that I'm like, oh, wow, what is this? I mean, we were just asking questions before, like, what's going on with this family? Why are they so, here and here, but they come together as one. And it's beautiful to see, and I can't wait to learn some more.
Absolutely. Let's learn together. I'll bring back up the slide. I just don't want to refer to it. So you kind of can see this has been our history, unfortunately. Peace in the land where everything's going well. We went through the exercise of what does that look like to have peace in our land? Imagine how beautiful that is. And then we kind of forget ourselves and do evil in the sight of the Lord. He punishes us, and he punishes us with enslavement, with oppression. Another people, would treat us, badly, just the way we were treated here and are treated here in the Americas. Then we cry to our God. God raises up judges, and then they deliver us. Then we have peace in our land, and then we go through the cycle over and over again. The whole point of us doing this, hopefully these 5 times and maybe 1 or 2 more times before we're done, is that we don't want to repeat this cycle.
Yeah.
Are you with me, Veronica? We don't want to repeat this cycle. Are you right? Are you agree?
Absolutely. Do not want to repeat this cycle.
Absolutely. So that's why hopefully it sticks in there. We got to stop it. Okay, go to the next one, please. Next slide. So these are some of the judges that we covered. Again, we go through many of the judges. They don't necessarily go a lot of detail about them. These do, but there are some that may not. But these, we went into kind of deep dives, not just the historical point of what they did and who did what and that type of thing, but also what are the themes that we could learn from each of these stories that we can apply today in this modern era. What can we do? What can we avoid? What do we learn, along these things? And I think, in particular, of course, other cultures and how much it can influence us, but also even internally, how much did our demise stem from internal issues and dealing with those things too. So we'll see that today as well. So anyway, these are some of the judges that we had looked at. Any favorites in there, Jeff? Dr. Jeff?
I think my favorite. I always love the story of Gideon. I would say it's a debate between Gideon and maybe even the one from today, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. Good. Okay. Yeah. They're all the great stories, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
all are connected. And that's a
They're all
part of
great.
this too, right? All are connected.
Yes.
So let's go on to the next slide. We're going to jump on to today. And we said that trivia, you guys can throw in the chat. If you guys are listening here, there's a phrase that's often said over and over again in the book of Judges, over and over and over again. What is that phrase? What is that phrase that we don't want to hear? It's the phrase we want to say, especially now in this era and this generation and forward. We never, ever want to hear this phrase again, but we hear it or read it over and over again in the book of Judges. Let's give a second so those that are listening can actually put it in the chat. What is that phrase that we do not want to ever hear again? Give it a second. All right. Okay. What about somebody in the panel? What's that phrase?
And the children of
The
Israel
children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord.
That's right.
Again.
Again, right? You got to add that.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, you got to add again.
Again. Oh my goodness. Over and over again, that cycle. We don't want to see that. So this is happening again. We ended last time, part 4, with a cliffhanger. We kind of did these first 2 slides about our forefathers, children of Israel, evil. And then during that time, Ammon actually came in and into the land and actually oppressed us and ruled over us. And it was very, very bitter upon us. And so if you could, go to the next slide. And you could look at the last video to get a little more, but we just kind of went there. Something a little different sort of happened here.
Yeah.
A little different, right? And so they cried out, right? We saw that cycle, and that's common, right? We unfortunately, we get oppressed, we get the foot on our neck, and then we're crying out, God of Israel, come save me. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. And please just come and save us, because this is bitter bondage. We want to, and that's what they did. And normally, our guy would be like, okay, I hear you, you're crying out. Thank you for reaching out to me. I'm going to definitely send a judge to go and fix this problem. This time, what does our Father say?
Hey.
You on your own. No.
I want to put it in terms of a parent, and then we can read the scripture, right?
Yeah.
I've told you time and time again, don't come crying to me.
Right.
Do not come crying to me. Right. Go to your little friends, go let them deal with your problem and leave me alone.
Right, exactly. Over and over again. Because it's the same thing. It's not like it's a new issue. It's the same issue over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's just quite interesting to show how the oneness that the God of Israel sees us. Even though it wasn't me specifically, I was crying out to him before. It was maybe my great grandfather and his grandfather and so on and so forth. He sees us as one people.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you guys, as in not just one, but you guys as generation after generation, you're frustrating me, and so that's why it's important for us to know our history, understand, sort of where we come from, to understand kind of the context of why he'd be so mad at us, because he's been here before. So I do want to read that part, or someone could read the part. Read this really quick. I don't know, maybe Veronica, can you see it okay to read?
Yes. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, saying, we have sinned against thee, both because we have forsaken our God and also served Balaam. And the Lord said unto the children of Israel, did not I deliver you from the Egyptian and from the Amorites and from the children of Ammon and from the Philistine, the Zoanite also,
the Zonians,
the Zodian also, and the Amalekites and the Moabites did oppress you, and ye cried to me, and I deliver you out of their hands. Yet ye have forsaken me and served other gods. Wherefore I will deliver you no more. Go and cry unto the gods which you have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulations.
Oh. Ouch.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Dr. Jeff Blair, hearing those from your father, what would you think? What's going through your mind and your heart? What are you feeling?
As Veronica is reading, I'm thinking a couple things. The first thing is, I think sort of on the negative side that it is sad to see that we keep going back to the same cycle, but at the same time, sort of on a positive note too as well, it's funny to see that like it's almost like a part of even our nature is to call out. So almost as much as it is a part of our nature to disobey or whatever, like we do seem to come back each time, and I think that's a part of the cycle. And I think that part, I think, is at least good that we don't forget them altogether, but we do find some type of recognition to come back. But the other thing that I think is important to kind of go back to is when you look at that map and you see sort of the context that all of these nations that the God of Israel has said, I delivered you from this person or this person or this person. They're all mighty nations that were in this land and became our neighbors. And I think to put in the context of the historical part of it is, a lot of them are still our neighbors, even many years after he delivered us from them. And therefore, there's a lot of like animosity there. There's a lot of history that's there. I think that is something to keep, within our minds, because I think it comes up a bit later on today too as well. So,
for sure. For sure. There's reasons, and we know the spiritual reasons that are there, but they manifest themselves politically, socially, economically, right? All those various ways, right? They manifest themselves. And so someone who doesn't understand his history will think, oh yeah, they're just, they just hate the, I don't know, the clothes you wear or the food you eat. They hate you because you're black or something like that. It's just something that's the pretext. But you understand there's a spiritual reason underneath why all these things are happening. And it all starts, look at the power we have. It all starts from us and the decisions that we make.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We made better decisions than them being over there and doing that or saying whatever they have to say would have no consequence against us. But it's because we make the decision, to go here or there that causes all these things to come. So we see the face of the oppression, but not knowing that, it's cause and effect, it's happening because of what we do or don't do.
Wow. When you think about it, we know better. That's the toughest part. We know better. Otherwise, like you said, we would have been fighting it coincidentally the way we fight it today, which is through those channels of the symptoms, not necessarily treating the disease, but treating the symptoms.
Yes,
and now, but at that time period, they knew exactly what they were doing wrong. It was like, hey. It's like stop serving them. Come on, we need to go back over here, right? Which like that makes you more frustrated than anything.
Yeah,
like, I know you know better.
Right.
And to go back, it's like I understand the anger.
Yeah. So let's look and see what was the response. What did we say after our God said this? Our Father said this, and you can imagine the feeling, the trembling of that. Like, think of. If we talk about how our God, we are created in his image. And so, we have emotions, he has emotions. We have feelings, he has feelings, right? He gets angry, we get angry. He gets joyful, he loves feast. He likes to be happy and joyous and music. But he gets angry and jealous. And sometimes he says things that, he's like, he's in anger, so he may say things. So the whole point about I will not come back and get you. You're like, as a child, it's sort of like, oh, I hope you don't really mean that.
Yeah. Hey, let him cool off, please.
You know what I mean? Like, I hope you don't really mean that. That's what. Think about that one hope. Imagine how hopeless that would be. That was the real answer, and not just out of anger.
All right.
What would you do as a child to try to make sure that we turn this around? You know what I mean? Like,
you're going to do everything.
You're just accepting. You're like, oh man, all right.
I know.
You will fight for it, right? You're gonna feel like, no, wait, hold up, wait, time out.
Yeah.
I was just playing. He gonna cry out is what they're going to do.
Tell me
exactly what we did. cry.
not just with this, right? But with
Right.
everything,
Yes.
Physical, yeah,
you
and
read the scriptures
spiritual.
where they're like rip their clothes and throw ashes
Yeah.
on. I mean, like no, you got to hear me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Elder teaches us that you have to do it from here. You can't just do it with your mouth.
Right.
So let's go. Let's see what did they say. And this is the part where you're like, wow, I really, and most of the times when they are crying out, it just says they cried out. They don't really get into it a little bit. But this is after that response. Well, what about Dr. Blair? Could you read what the response
Sure.
is?
And the children of Israel said unto the Lord, we have sinned. Do thou unto us whatsoever seemeth good unto thee. Deliver us only, we pray thee, this day. And they put away the strange gods from among them and served the Lord. And his soul was grieved for the misery of Israel. I want to stop there really quick too. What I think is probably the primary part here is the accountability part to say we are recognizing that we sinned. And then also too, as well, kind of like accepting that, hey, do what you think is the best to punish us. However, I want you to deliver us from this current state. So I think there's accountability, but also trying to negotiate that punishment a little bit too as well. Anyway.
And since you paused there, also, it's one of those things where, I think about, we were doing this thing on reparations, and in these individuals, maybe companies or governments apologizing, a formal apology for slavery and for the things like that. And it's like, well, how hollow is an apology without anything to back it up?
Yeah.
Right? How hollow? Oh, sorry. That's it. Like, well,
what does that mean?
And no action behind it. That's just lip service. But they said this is big for Israel. It shouldn't be, but this is big for Israel. So they weren't told to do this. They set up their own. Like, oh man, no, we got to get rid of the gods, get rid of everything. We do everything we can so that they can know, so our Father can know we're serious about this, right?
Yeah.
And we want
so much so that it says that his soul was grieved. For the misery. So
So look at that emotion of our Father going back from one to the other. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And a little bit later, it's like, oh man, look at these people. Oh man, look at my children. I can't just sit here and let them.
And over time, I can imagine him just wanting to close his ears and not.
Right.
It's like, man, it's like they're miserable. They are truly miserable right now.
For sure. For Veronica, as a parent, going back and forth to that angry, and then coming back to having your heart softened, you've gone through that, right?
Yes. I was just thinking about what Dr. Blair had read, and I was looking at how we sometimes take stuff for granted, and it's like the children of Israel was taking God of Israel for granted.
Yeah.
She's still there.
Oh, I think she froze a bit.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
we keep going. Okay. But yeah, we got
themselves. They
Veronica, I think your connection is a little choppy. You kind of froze for a second.
What I was saying was.
Oh man.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I guess maybe producer can work with her and see. But just to keep going. So from what she was saying about taking the God of Israel for granted, for sure. One of those things. The sun comes up every day. You wake up every morning. The birds are chirping, and you plant some seeds, and they're going to grow and make the fruit that you planted. You take all these functions and services for granted. Like it just happens. Not knowing that we have some responsibility as well. What I mean? To the person who makes sure this happens.
Exactly.
And not famine, or not until all these things may happen or something, and we have a drought or something like that. Then, oh my goodness, we should do something about this. But if we kept up that pattern of checking in, that pattern of being obedient, that pattern of constantly staying connected with that spirit power, the creator who actually is putting all this into action, you could avoid all those calamities in the first place.
Yeah.
Not go through that cycle, So and let's keep going. All right. So you're back, Veronica. You good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got you. I tried to summarize what you were saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, let's keep going because you got to jump into it. So finish it out, Dr. Blair.
Sure. Then the children of Ammon were gathered together in a camp in Gilead, and the children assembled themselves together in a camp in Mizpah. And the people and the princes of Gilead said one to another, "What man is he that will begin to fight against the children of Ammon? He shall be head over all the inhabitants of Gilead."
Okay, this is kind of where we left off last time. So,
Yeah.
drum roll. Who's the next judge? Let's go. Next slide.
Jephthah. I can't even say the name.
Jephthah.
That's it.
Jephthah. Yeah, Jephthah.
There we go. All right.
You know what? I can see that being him. I can legit look at that
Hey,
picture and see that being him.
I put in the characteristics, and that's what popped up. So when we read through it, I guess we'll see people who are joining us if they agree that kind of fits the.
It's crazy because I would like reading the story. It's like that's almost the facial picture. Yeah.
All right, let's go. Who's going to read this slide about him?
I can take it.
Okay.
All right. Now Jephthah, the Gileadite, was a mighty man of valor, and he was the son of an harlot. And Gilead begat Jephthah, and Gilead's wife bare him sons, and his wife's sons grew up, and they thrust out Jephthah, and said unto him, "Thou shalt not inherit in our father's house, for thou art the son of a strange woman." Then Jephthah fled from his brethren and dwelt in the land of Tob. And there were gathered vain men of Jephthah, and went out with him. And it came to pass in the process of time that the children of Ammon made war against Israel. And it was so that when the children of Ammon made war against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to fetch Jephthah out of the land of Tob. And they said unto Jephthah, "Come and be our captain, that we may fight with the children of Ammon." It's
family business. What's going on there?
Oh man, that's like, man, there's so much range of emotion there, right?
Yeah.
One is the need, acceptance, and two is almost like betrayal to be removed, and then you get acceptance, but not in the manner that's really like, it brings you honor, but at the same time, it's like, you need me.
You need me now. Yeah.
To the point to where like you're literally the reason I left the land.
Yeah.
You pretty much kicked me out.
Yeah.
It's man, like that's it's so
So in this too, it's sort of we were having this conversation, I think was it maybe Shelby and I or someone, about just in the scriptures and the culture, we see a part of this has to do also not just, again, it's not one generational, it's about generations going forward.
Yeah.
And it's different status of an example of women, right? And you have a harlot is a status of a woman. That's there, right? For money, that's her profession. And then there's also concubines, what they would say, girlfriends or whatever. And then there's wife, and which is, a commitment to this individual. And it's not just the status, but it's also what happens generationally.
Yes.
So as a wife, they and the wife's children, they, like their children then inherit whatever the man has. The concubine kind of less than, but then any other person, the same way how the relationship was not really tight. Also, even the children from those relationships is gonna, inherit whatever they were to inherit. So, like, what I'm saying. So the wife, the child of a heart, is like, doesn't. But you see, even if they are close, even if they are,
it doesn't matter.
Legally, let's say the way it works is that you're not entitled to anything, even though you are an heir. You are seed of the seed. So. Not wanting to, you wonder like that's established already. So you wonder like what's not being said here, like what's going on behind the scenes that they would have to push him out and make him feel so ostracized.
I was going to say that,
Me and to the fact that they would have to go back to him at some point when they need him. Tells me something about him. Like there's probably some leadership skills, some charisma. There's something about him that if he just hangs around, he's gonna like.
You're gonna flourish.
Draw people to him and maybe take away, the love and affection, maybe even of our father and our mother, or whatever, well, not the mother, but you know what I mean? So there's some things happening here that are not said that we can probably imply.
Infer, yeah. And I think sorry, go ahead.
No, we saw this type of jealousy before, haven't we?
Yes.
Earlier on in the scriptures, we see with
Gideon's son.
Gideon's sons. We've seen it also when
Joseph.
we talk about that. Yeah, Joseph. All the scriptures, like we see that it's doing the same thing, and so it's us again. It's us.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I was just going to say.
I'm sorry.
Right, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. You go ahead on, Dr. Blair.
No, so I guess I was just going to say that when I first read the scripture, I was like, this confirms my theory that the Game of Thrones stole a lot from.
You said the Game of Thrones stole a lot from us.
Yeah. But I think also too, as well, kind of going on what Minister Anthony was saying, I think it's sort of like a pro and a con too as well. The pro being they are recognizing that they need him now, but in the context of we need you, but then also too, I think that there must have been or could have been some experience that he also gained while he was being pushed away that might be better able to suit him for this role now,
Yeah.
So I think kind of similar to the story of Joseph or Gideon, that sometimes even in that what seems like a negative actually ends up being a pro when you come kind of full circle, So
yeah, 100%. Yeah. To me, when I read that,
I was going to say what Dr. Blair has just said about Joseph. I was going to bring up that too, that how they did not care for Joseph. But God of Israel had everything already orchestrated the way that he wanted to go. And I saw this even with him was that God of Israel had already orchestrated, and it's to the point where they had to humble themselves and go back and get him after they kicked him out. Right. So the thing is, they had to humble themselves and say, okay, we do need him. So like I said, they saw something beforehand, but they was trying to push him away. But God of Israel has a way of the very thing that we trying to push away, make us go back and get it, because that thing is what we really need.
Amen. That's right. 7 in the chat for that. 100%. That's right. The thing we value the least is the thing sometimes we need the most.
Great point.
So absolutely, yes. That good point, Veronica, for sure. No, there's a lot here. And what you said too, Dr. Blair, about that is so true too. I think is that what I was thinking is that a lot of times the concept is about good and bad, type of thing, and it's like there's good and bad in Israel. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point in time, you don't want a good person.
No, right.
You want a warrior. You want a killer.
That's true. Right? That's true. That character. If we need that character, that bad person now,
Yeah.
And we need
somebody with a grudge.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. He probably wouldn't be the same warrior without that grudge, right?
That's true. He got that in him. Exactly. That's true. There you go. All right, so let's go next slide. Let's see. All right. I'll read this one.
Okay.
And Jephthah said unto the elders of Gilead, did not ye hate me and expel me out of my father's house? And why are ye come unto me now when ye are in distress? And the elders of Gilead said unto Jephthah, therefore we turn again to thee now, that thou mayest go with us and fight against the children of Ammon, and be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. And Jephthah said unto the elders of Gilead, if ye bring me home again to fight against the children of Ammon, and the Lord deliver them before me, shall I be your head? And the elders of Gilead said unto Jephthah, the Lord be witness between us if we do not so according to thy words. Then Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and people made him head and captain over them. And Jephthah uttered all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. Yeah. So he's like, I'll make it clear. Let's make it very plain. This is what's going to happen. I come with you.
Exactly. And I love this because they gave him the one and only offer that they knew he couldn't refuse.
Right.
There was no way where you can say, well, just come back and we'll be a family.
Let's
That's
talk
not
about it. Yeah,
It's not good enough.
No.
Like,
So,
I need to be placed in a position that shows me that you guys are truly humble for what you did.
Yeah.
And that is the only position. And
Yeah.
I always love anytime I see let the Lord be witness between us.
Yes.
That's when, hey, this is something you cannot go back on. Anytime we see this in the scripture,
Yeah.
this is the strongest commitment possible.
Talk about vows, huh?
Oh man. Oh
Yeah,
man.
For sure. Yeah.
This is the eldest.
Yeah. And so to me, it's a couple things in there. Again, we talk about this whole thing too about good, bad, whatever. In the prior verse where it said, he got a lot of vain individuals to follow him. And almost like if you left that there, you're almost thinking like, oh, is he like, I don't know, not following Israel, just kind of doing his own thing?
Yeah.
You see, no, it's very clear. No, he's Israel pure, true and true. Heart, soul, body. Like, he's committed. It's just this family politics is causing all these dynamics to take place. And like Veronica said, you get the sense that like, oh wow, if they didn't, like Joseph, if they didn't do that, he would have rose to be the head organically, probably.
yeah.
They were jealous of this because he's of the, he's not of the
stock. Yeah.
So so very, very interesting kind of see that no matter what the God of Israel plans for someone to be, head, it's going to happen one way or another.
Man, can you imagine? It's just so
all types of people too. I mean, regardless of the circumstance of how he got there, the God of Israel was able to use him even when the men felt like he didn't have any value during that time. So
yes, absolutely. And I think let's just today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we none of us come to Israel clean, right? We've gone through a lot. We've done a lot. We've gone through many things, and sometimes we have the sense of like, I don't deserve to be a part of this family because I've done X, Y, and Z, or all these various things that. But you can understand that when the God of Israel chooses you to be a part, it's for a reason. And like you said, sometimes you go through some of those things because there's something to learn that can even be utilized at its right time. So I think it's a lesson here for us as well.
Yes, and also based on what Dr. Blur was saying, and that if you look at that the very thing by them awesome him away, it kind of sharpened him, like Minister Anthony, like Minister Anthony was saying, that it sharpened him. So the same thing with Joseph, it sharpened him. All the process that he went through, and even before we came into Israel, the things that we went through, it sharpened us. So that when all the many gods failed us, and we came into the truth, we said, okay, yeah, this is the truth now. So it's like, you see, I saw something different. I had experienced something different, like I have never experienced before. So I knew this was the right place for me.
Amen.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I think we oftentimes have the question of, why was I chosen as opposed to the other 8 billion people on this earth? And again, if you go back to the experience in your life, sometimes you think about, you went through those experiences. Again, I'm not God, but to say, I don't think there's any coincidence in that you are hearing this lesson today for a specific purpose. Your life brought you to this point for a specific purpose, and maybe all those experiences why God chose you to actually hear this lesson or be a part of this family. So that's a great point.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. Let's see what happens. So he decides to come back, and they agree that he would be the head. What happens next?
I'll read this one.
Okay.
And Jephthah sent messengers unto the king of the children of Ammon, saying, what hast thou to do with me, that thou art come against me to fight in my land? And the king of the children of Ammon answered unto the messengers of Jephthah, because Israel took away my land when they came out of Egypt, from Arnon even unto Jabbat, and unto Jordan. Now therefore restore those lands again peaceably.
Interesting.
Miseducated.
Hey, we didn't steal anything. This was promised to us a long time ago. And but this is.
But before you make the case for the king of Ammon.
Oh yeah.
Make the case for the king of Ammon.
It's like, hey guys, we had no beef with you guys. We had no issue You guys have came and made war with us. You
Mhm.
killed our kings. You took the land forcibly,
Mhm.
and we gained power now, and we want our land back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, like you said that, like, okay, you got a point. Yeah, 'cause again, right? This is the God of Israel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This isn't the God. This isn't everybody's God.
Yeah.
So the instruction that's being given is only being given to Israel.
Right.
So for anybody else out there, I mean, think about the situation you're in, right? It would be easy just to say, well, yeah, here's the land. You know, we're going to go over here across the other side of Jordan. You guys can have that land back and we'll be good. But no, like, no, you can't. You can't have it. Like,
and two, I think, you know, dealing with the God of Israel, I think it's hard sometimes for like human brains to like grasp the idea of like, I think we're stuck in the idea of like fairness sometimes, you know, but it's like
yeah,
I just said, this is mine. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Right.
And so I think like from their standpoint, I could definitely see a case to be made of, you know, no, like this was our land, this was our thing. You guys came in kind of randomly, wanted to go through, and you guys just took our case, you know. So I could definitely see in their history books and their conversations it being skewed to look like we actually did come and take it, you know.
Oh,
So
with the terrorists.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I know with me, one thing I see, and I'm a little surprised that, you know, I guess we see the imagery of Jephthah, even the description of Jephthah, right? And it just seemed like a warrior. But I was so impressed. The first thing he does is write a letter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That impress you? That, you know, that he's like, let's see. Now that he went through this whole piece, like you said, he probably has some banked up anger for how they kicked him out of his father's house, and you know, and then they come and now they need him, and he's like, come and fight for us. And so you're thinking like, okay, there's gonna be a battle, you know, and then you read it, you're like, oh, wait a minute, like he's a smart guy, you know. This isn't just a brute, you know. It's
I
not
need to
just
get to the basis of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, hey, let me reach out to the king. Hey, I speak for Israel, and let's talk about this. Let's see if we can resolve this. And I was just so impressed with that process, like, you know. And so let's see what what happens next.
I'll take that. 14 and 22.
Yep.
And Jephthah sent messengers again unto the king of the children of Ammon, and said unto him, thus said Jephthah, Israel took not away the land of Moab, nor the land of the children of Ammon. But when Israel came up from Egypt and walked through the wilderness unto the Red Sea, and came to Kadesh, then Israel sent messengers unto the king of Edom, saying, let me, I pray thee, pass through thy land. But the king of Edom would not hearken thereto. And in a like manner they sent unto the king of Moab, but he would not consent. And Israel abode in Kadesh. Then they went along through the wilderness and compassed the land of Edom and the land of Moab, and came by the east side of the land of Moab, and pitched on the other side of Arnon, but came not within the border of Moab, for Arnon was the border of Moab. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the king of Heshbon. And Israel said unto him, let us pass, we pray thee, through the land unto my place. But Sihon trusted not Israel to pass through his coast. But Sihon gathered all his people together, and pitched in Jahaz, and fought against Israel. And the Lord God of Israel delivered Sihon and all his people unto the hand of Israel, and they smote them. So Israel possessed all the land of the Amorites, the inhabitants of that country. And they possessed all the coast of the Amorites, from Arnon unto Jabbok, and from the wilderness even unto Jordan. Wow. A history lesson. Hey, it's time. This is such, like you said, this is such a brilliant tactic. It's like, wait a minute, we can fight.
Yeah,
but let's get to the basis of the history.
Let's look at this.
What happened
here.
We didn't just come up and just say, hey, we're just going to take the land.
Yeah.
They started it. But we finished it.
Yes, right.
We stood up and defended ourselves, and our God delivered them into our hands.
Right.
You know what I like about it? I like to see the history, meaning the way it was passed down. Like this is many years and many judges past, and he knows this history like the back of his hand. Like he's running it down. like, no, don't this, no, this not this way. You guys attacked us first.
Mm-hmm.
I love to see how it was all passed down to almost exactly the T, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you think about it, if we did that with some things today, we would get all these different stories. But he was like all the way on point and let us know exactly how it happened.
Right.
That's
Right.
what's the
But
beautiful point about it. Like it shows his character so much.
yeah.
Through and through, he wanted to be an Israelite through and through, nothing else.
Right,
To know this, he's not even living in the land,
right,
and to just let you know how much he's probably studied and read and heard that, and was so proud to be a part of that culture.
Mm-hmm.
He's so proud. I don't care what my mother is. I'm just proud to know who my father is and what stock I come from.
Mm-hmm.
To know this, so yeah, like you said, they knew this. They knew that they know his character.
Right.
Like they pick on him, but they know, like, hey man, he's one of us.
Right.
He's truly one of us.
Yes.
That's true. If he was all muscle and no brain, he probably wouldn't have been a threat, right?
Right.
So because he is sort of that mix of both, he probably was a threat,
Right.
So
Right. Right. For sure. No, absolutely. And I love it. He said, you want to talk history? Okay, let's talk history. Let's talk. Let's tell them. Let's understand the story and let's go pull it step by step. So, impressed, really impressed of how he's sort of handling this thing, to make sure he understands that don't put us off like we're the oppressors or whatever. This is exactly what happened and how it happened. Let's tell the truth about what happened. So again, lesson to us today that we gotta know our history. Otherwise people out can kind of talk circles around it. If you don't understand the how, the why, the what, our full history from beginning to end, so we can understand fully, how we got to where we are. All right, next. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Next slide.
I can do this one.
Okay. So he's still going through the history.
So now the Lord God of Israel hath dispossessed the Amorites from before his people Israel, and shouldest thou possess it? Will not thou possess that which Chemosh thy God giveth thee to possess? So whomsoever the Lord our God shall drive out from before us, them we will possess. And now art thou anything better than Balak the son of Zippor, the king of Moab? Did he ever strive against Israel, or did he ever fight against them? While Israel dwelt in Heshbon and her towns, and in Aroer and her towns, and all the cities that be along the coast of Arnon, 300 years. Why therefore did he not recover them within that time? Wherefore I have not sinned against thee, but thou doest me wrong to war against me. The Lord, the judge, be judge this day between the children of Israel and the children of Ammon. Howbeit the king of the children of Ammon hearkened not unto the words of Jephthah, which he sent him.
I love it. I love that bot. So it's like, you want to go through the history? Let's go through the history. We go through it. So don't villainize me. No. We went all this thing. We had 300 years to complain about this, and now all of a sudden, out of the blue, you're gonna try. Like, no. At the end of it, it's, I have not sinned against thee, but thou dost me wrong to war against me. The Lord, the judge, be the judge this day between the children of Israel and the children of Ammon. It's like when you put that stamp on it, that means like, hey, you want to fight, we fight.
You get a fair one. Exactly.
And he gives him. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, I actually really like the first couple lines in there where he says, I'm going to go after what my God gives me. You go after.
Yes, that's what I was just,
And I think that is, again, the more he speaks, the more that he's writing, you can see again, the more his wisdom. And I think to have that way of thinking, of putting out your life, that whatever my God puts in front of me, I'm going to go and, obtain, just like you're going to do, shows respect to, okay, you have your culture, we have our culture, but let's not put into fault what is sort of in the nature of just how we do things. If my God helps me to win this war, then that is my victory. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I just love that.
100%.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw that, right? He's appealing on all fronts, right? It's not even as you read it, right? Even if you put yourself in a place of the children of Ammon, we're not even looking at, you're not even reading this and being upset.
Yeah.
Right? You're reading, it's like, yeah, okay, I can see
Right.
that.
Got
I
a
can
point.
see
Got
that.
a point.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you know, yeah, like because if our God gave us, like, yeah, we would take it too.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
who can refuse? Who can refuse something from their God?
Exactly.
Right.
And this kind of also reminds me of a couple other stories in the past where we as Israel again have had to like kind of battle out with other nations' gods, and just made it very direct. Like, you have your God, we have our God, and sort of even in his statement, I kind of get the sense of like, hey, I have the utmost faith that my God would give me what is mine. You know what I mean?
Confidence.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
even at the end, he's like, okay, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's like a sense of like, let's see what our gods do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And whoever
Yeah,
God
like
gives them that victory, then that's the victory.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
And two, sorry, but I think I'm also really excited about the fact that there's such a clear emphasis again on who gave him the blessing too. It's like, which I think we can also take into our personal lives. It's like, it's not just about the victory itself and kind of move forward, but it's saying, I understand and recognize who gave me that blessing, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm so proud of it because of where it comes
yes.
from.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good point.
Absolutely.
Seven's in the chat for that. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. He didn't say, "Oh, we as Israel are so big and bad." All these things.
Exactly.
It was our God
Yeah.
that gave this to us. He instructed us all the way through. This is what we're going to do, and this is how he gave us the victory 300 years ago.
Yeah.
And so he has no doubt that he's going to give us the victory today as well.
Yeah.
But that acknowledgement of where the strength and power comes from, right? So yeah, definitely. Shout out.
I'm trying to put some sevens in the chat.
Thank you for the chat for that for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which again I think is so relevant to us today, just because I think it's easy to within our lives to also compare ourselves to others all the time.
Yeah.
I think too, again, just to recognize like you have what you have because the God of Israel gave it to you. Let other gods bless other people as they see fit, and you accept and recognize the blessing the God of Israel has given you. You know what I mean? I think that's
right. That's right. Right, which their God may and may not bless them in so many different ways.
Exactly.
Even whatever they do that's fine. Okay, that's great. But the focus, and then this whole story where the children of Israel is like, listen, if we gotta be punished, you punish us. We won't be punished by our enemies.
Exactly.
Let's keep it in house.
Keep them away from us.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next slide. This is good. I love this discussion. All right, I'll read this one. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he passed over Gilead and Manasseh, and passed over Mizpah of Gilead. And from Mizpah of Gilead he passed over into the children of Ammon. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the children of Ammon shall surely be yours, shall surely be the Lord's. And I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hand, and he smote them from Aurora even till thou come to Minnith, even 20 cities, and unto the plain of the vineyards, with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. Applause.
Oh yeah.
Big victory, great slaughter. Yes, the children of Ammon were subdued under Israel. Yeah, so you can imagine.
I was the first verse, right? Anytime I see the Spirit of the Lord like came, like it really shows how special this person, this event is, this situation is.
Yeah.
And again, right, how proud the God of Israel must be, even in the letters. To be like, absolutely, I'm there.
Yeah.
To fight this battle with you. Like, you don't worry. Like, I am with you 100%. And we will make do.
Yeah. I think when you as an Israelite, when you recognize that the battles that you're facing are the battles of your God, and sort of trying to fight for him and his name as well. I mean, there's no way that the God of Israel is not going to be there and show up to ensure that you win. Because again, at the end of the day, you're giving the blessing back to him,
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And also I looked up the name Jephthah. It says to be open or to be released. So it's like his name itself is powerful, to be open to a release. So it's like I see him, he is releasing the praises to the God of Israel. So
Mhm.
and then I say he's open. He's open. It says to open. So he's opened his mouth unto the
Mhm.
God of Israel. So and
Yes.
I can see the power why the Spirit can come down upon him, where
Yes.
whereby God of Israel is getting all the praise, all the glory. So I can see that
Yes.
his name by itself when you
Yes.
call his name. See,
Absolutely.
that's why you have to be careful of how you name your children because names are powerful. The meaning behind is powerful. So yeah,
Mhm.
I see that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Well,
like. I also pay attention to too. When we did the King series, and we talked about Jehoshaphat and how
mhm.
his prayers or his knowledge of knowing to go to the God of Israel right away. Him doing that, the God of Israel came. The Spirit of the Lord came upon within the middle of the people. Like so, every time you say that, when we see this, when we read now, I see that. I can understand. Like, wow, every time you do give it to him or you do give him praise and glory, when he show up, it's going to be a victory. It's almost
They're
like
gonna win. Yeah, they're gonna win. Yeah.
yeah, you're going
Not,
to
not just a little win. Not just a
yeah,
little
it's
win.
not a win. It's going to
No.
be a
Yeah.
complete
Big win.
win. Yeah.
That is the issue.
But let's not
Yeah.
forget. Remember, it's like everything that we try to do. It's everything in context, trying to build that environment so that the Spirit could be there.
Right.
Right? Not just
Right.
him individually, but the whole environment. Remember what they did? They
Yeah.
cried
That's true.
out, but then they
That's
got
true.
rid of all of the
All this stuff.
Strange gods.
anything that would somehow compromise this relationship. I want to
Exactly.
get rid of it, make sure it's not there. I want to have pure Israelite culture and then spirit that I'm thinking about, feeling about. I can imagine whatever whatever's happening during that day, the Sabbath, the new moon, all that stuff they're doing. I'm doing to everything right because we're about to go into battle, and I want to make sure that our God is with us. I'll do anything that could compromise that. So it created the right environment, then had the right person, like Veronica said, as leading them with that right mindset. Definitely, you can see how I love the way how he just functions, and then so everything's right. So everything is there and able. So it reminds me of like in the wilderness when he said, build it this way, have these colors a certain way, and have
Yes.
these other things happen. These people do that, and then when you do that, then my spirit can be there with you.
Yeah.
The right environment.
Yeah.
And so, that's why, hats off to Israelite Nationwide Ministries because always trying to create the right environment so our God can feel comfortable dwelling with us.
Yes.
So thank you, Elder Shabbat, for teaching us that. Thank you, Supreme
Thank
Council, for adhering to that. That's our goal, have our Father dwell with us. So we see a great example, and we see it caused a great victory. And we're hopeful that this would be like, okay, we're done. Years of peace, and now we can move on to something else. But there's some other things here we gotta talk about.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the story's not quite over.
Before we go on, though, I just one
yeah.
thing I want to say too as well is I also love the way that he again, and we'll get to sort of like some of the details, but I do love the way that he does pray and does ask for help. I think I always talk about the fact that when you ask the God of Israel for something, I love that it can be a two-way street and recognizing that relationship to say, hey, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. And I think that is sort of how our culture and that's how our forefathers have done it forever. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Is recognizing that relationship. So I do love again that he's saying, hey, God of Israel, you help me and I'm going to do something for you. So we'll get into that. But again, I just like that concept, Yeah.
And it is a part of it, right? Where a part of our law is like, you don't come to my altar empty-handed.
Exactly.
Right. And it's the concept, right? It's not just a gimme, but he give it. I mean, he loves you, just like your children. You love them, you'll give whatever, but like, oh well, I mean, when does this go back, back and forth, right? Where's my 10%? Right. Where's my 10%?
Right.
So it's yeah. So 100%, you kind of see that, and that's why the more you dig into him, the more I just love this guy. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Someone I think should be spoken about a little bit more because he definitely is checking all the boxes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's keep going on. Let's see what happened. There's a little bit more.
I'll take it.
Okay.
34 to 40. And Jephthah came to Mizpah into his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances. And she was his only child. Beside her, he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass when he saw her that he rent his clothes and said, Alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low, and thou art one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. I just want to pause there just for a second.
Yeah,
We can.
I love that.
Do you guys remember what he said?
Mhm.
I'm
Yes, we
talking to
do.
the people in the chat. Do you guys remember what he said? His vow that he made?
Mm,
First thing I see.
Man,
yeah.
Yes.
it's so sad, man. It is so sad
Yeah, imagine
because
him being victorious, coming
Jubilee.
in.
Oh man,
Oh man, can't wait. Oh man, and he's remembering his vow. He's like, I said I'm gonna do it. The God of Israel went through with his promise, so now I'm gonna do my promise. I can't wait to get back and da 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 da. And then imagine just the cold fright that comes over him.
Yeah.
The first thing he sees is his daughter.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ah, that's a lot. That's a lot. But
yes.
like you just said, you can't. It's a big victory, and he requires something big from him as well.
Yeah.
But
It
And
is.
I
You know
think,
what?
and I think,
No, you go ahead, Jeff.
and I was going to say that, I think too, like again, the more that he speaks, his character is just pristine. Like, how many of us would have been like, oh, but not that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're right.
behind you,
Right.
behind you.
Right.
But like, he's like, for I've opened my mouth and I cannot go back. I think that too is a lost art, is sort of like being a man of your word. This is like the true definition of that, of sort of recognizing the power and what he said. I asked for this, I got the blessing. Now it's my turn to repay that, So
Mhm.
Man,
You imagine being pricked in the heart, right? Like he's like he
Yeah.
cannot know what he knows,
yes.
what he knows, right? You can't just
Yeah.
not know, and yeah. So you can imagine just the
That's
chills.
what makes this so heart wrenching as a parent, right?
Yeah.
With only one daughter. This is such a situation of like, I mean, I know we're talking about it, right? But man, I just there's so much emotion here.
Sure.
Yes.
Because I can imagine, like, you can just imagine, like, he just like, like our last, right? You have made me very low, like, just like, because she's excited, she's running out of the house, she can't wait to see him, and
Right.
for him to say this, like, again, right?
Like, what's
He's
going on?
mortified. She's extremely mortified,
Mhm.
right? For what that means for her.
Right. Right.
And as we continue on, right? And again, like Dr. Blair said, the character not only of him but of his family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
really is really on display. And like you said, the more we read, it's more. He's someone I truly appreciate because it's just and again, these are the highlights, but we can imagine, right? His whole life, he just wanted to please the God of Israel and be an Israelite.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can see that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
Sure.
it's very
Okay.
real. This is
Finish
why we say
reading.
it's very real.
Finish reading that the verse.
Yeah. Now, verse 36. And she said unto him, My father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth. For as much as the Lord hath taken vengeance for thee of thy enemies, even of the children of Ammon.
And it shows her too.
Mhm.
He's instilled in her too. That vow, that commitment to being for the God of Israel is like it's even over her life. Like she just like do what you got to do for the Lord. Like I love that. I think that's amazing for us to see it in its entirety. From him to his daughter, it's still in both of them.
Yeah. I mean, even as visually too, I just love the idea of you came back from this brutal war and your daughter's coming to like celebrate that you're back, and you can see the Israelite colors and the instruments as she's like dancing and singing for her father. And I think that part of the culture I do like as well. And again, you just see that running through him and his entire family too as well. So.
And also what I see was that why God of Israel chose him. Because it's like his heart, as you were saying, Dr. Blair, that his heart, his character. God of Israel, like I say, people look out the outside, but God of Israel see your heart. He knows what's inside your heart. So it's like the things that he been through, and then he had faith. He was confident in the God of Israel. He had faith in the God of Israel, and he trusted the God of Israel.
Mhm.
So then is by him being. Then also I saw a commitment. He was committed to the God of Israel. So it's like God of Israel answered his prayer, but he made a vow. So I looked at it as well. He's like, okay, well, God, you did this for me, and I say, and this came from a life of experience. It wasn't just a one-time thing. This was a pattern. So it's like he just had that security blanket inside the God of Israel. He knew the God of Israel would come through for him. So then he wanted to be a man of his word because of his relationship that he had with the God of Israel. And that's what I want. I want their relationship with the God of Israel. I just don't want to talk, but I want their relationship. So like I said, this is a great theory to live by. You know, be careful what you say out of your mouth too. Don't be so quick to speak.
Very true.
Be very careful what you say or what you vow.
Yes.
Very true. Very true. And I actually love the word that you said again, is that relationship. Again, he understands how important that relationship is. And that, you know, the first part is him understanding it allowed him to even try and make that, you know, I'll do this for you, you do this for me, even commitment. But another part of that is I don't want to lose that relationship. So therefore I have to keep up my end of the bargain too. You know, it goes all the way back to Abraham, right?
Yeah,
I do this, you do this, you know, and I think that same idea, I think we should take with us today that, you know, even as we pray and do things, however, as you're saying, Veronica, be careful what you.
Yes.
Right.
That's why when Jesus to Christ, he said, you know, let your nay be nay and yea be yea, because yeah, because you know you don't want to fall into temptation of, you know, again, we're like our Father, right? We get emotional. We say things sometimes that oh my goodness, you know, like I didn't realize.
I will never,
yeah, exactly, yeah. Just kind of you don't want to. The worst thing could be for him not to follow an vow.
Yes.
And I think, like Dr. Bliss said, it's hard for us today. We live in a world that's full of lies. We live in a world that's like, it's not what I say, but you catch me with. You know, we don't understand the power of our words. In Israel, when we say something, that's why when we pray, even though if we're praying silently, we're still using our words. We have to, when words that come through our mouth mean something. They're power. You know, they mean something, and you're defined by that. So if you say something, we have to do it. That's the commitment of it. We see that consistent, not just this story, consistently throughout, you know, this whole thing. Even taking the land, and people deceived Joshua and the forefathers about who they were, and because because out of their mouth said, okay, you can have this and be with us, even though it was found out later on that they lied, it doesn't nullify what you said. If you say it, you're committed to it. You know what I mean? So I think that part is something that we're trying to really make sure as Israelites we understand how much our words mean and our vows.
So that can be a whole separate lesson on the word
by itself. Exactly.
Oh yeah.
I think this is what even forms helps form our culture, right? Is because we have to think before we say things and speak, even to one another.
Yeah.
We have to think about that. We just don't come out and just say things and then say, "Oh, well, I'll just say I'm sorry later." It's like think about what you're saying to your brethren first. You know,
100%.
I love that.
100%. All right, so let's keep going, because you know the question out there. What's the question out there? Of course, right? You're like, oh wow, okay. So are you telling me, right? Because what was his vow?
What's that?
What's that? 34.
Whatever I see is yours. It's an offering to you.
Yes. That is. Whatsoever cometh forth out of my door, my house to meet me, return in peace. Surely the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering. So what's the question people ask about this story?
Did he really?
Right.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Right. You want me to continue on?
Yeah. I'm just throwing it. I'm putting it out there. I know someone right now is listening to us is having that thought in their head, and so let's be very clear. No, that's not what.
Yeah.
He did not burn up his daughter. Let's make that very clear. He did not burn up his daughter. Let's read. I mean, kind of see, and hopefully you guys can understand. Yeah.
And And she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains and bewail my virginity, I and my fellows. And he said, go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow, which he had vowed, and she knew no man. And it was a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite 4 days in a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So what happened with his daughter?
Wow. When she went up to the mountain,
Mm-hmm.
she was just cursing her virginity and just think about the whole concept, right? She knew no man. Now she's a sacrifice for the God of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
now think about how upset you are. Not for the sacrifice, right? Because you're doing what the vow is. But at this stage in your life, right, you brought forth no children for your father's household.
Right.
And this is like for Israel. Think about all the stories before and even after, right, with women who were barren and no children, and how that was looked upon.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is. This situation is again for 2 months to go up and down the mountain,
Yes.
just pretty much just in essence cursing your virginity.
I think for us in this modern day, I think it's very much easy for us to, again, especially with all the craziness that's out there, it's easier for us to take for granted what it means to bear children,
Mm-hmm.
and just how much of a blessing that is.
Oh
It's
yeah.
easy for us to also take for granted what it means to like pass down lineage, to have someone that a son after you, or a daughter, or grandchildren, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for him, again, having only her, and she knows no man after that, sort of thinking of his line. But then also, I think for her, sort of myself as a woman, and sort of what it means to be a woman, and the blessing of having children even beyond that. I think you can think in terms of her thoughts too as well, and then the complexity too of just that word bewail, to like regret, to like disdain, to so she again, we talk about all the time how good it is for virginity, but then our women aren't going to be virgins forever, you know what I mean? So
Right.
there is a role and a purpose for sort of all of that. So I think it's sort of the complexity of the whole thing from both of their perspectives.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
But he had to finish and commit to his vow that he made to the God of Israel. And so we're like, okay, and can imagine she and he had plans for her life, things that she was to do, and now she's committed to the state, that she's in, and like you said, and never ever be able to realize herself, but she's given, to the God of Israel, and to fulfill this vow. And she reminds me of the Isaac story, right, where she, Abraham,
Yeah.
it was supposed to do that, and then Isaac was like, if you promised it, then you have to do it. And you're like, wow, what, in these stories you sort of see a lot of times the judges, you see, of course, we do evil and some of the challenge that we have, but also in there too, you sort of see like these, like you said, this family dynamic and commitment of how it's supposed to be. That we are in one accord with one another. Like, even though I, as a father, make a vow for me and my family, my children and my children's children, who didn't make the vow, but because I made it, there's so much respect for the family, so much respect for your generations, that you adhere yourself to the vow as if you made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the type of relationship that we're talking about. We're building here. There's like Israelite Ministries and building the family of what it really means to be a family. That's what it really means to be a family.
Right.
So anyway, so it's definitely a topic about vows and about all these things that can be its lesson all by itself. But because it's here in the Book of Judges, you definitely wanted to really at least touch on it a bit so we can really think about it.
Yeah,
this is such a different contrast. Even when you put up the previous judges, and it really shows. It really shows, right? Just the different time period we were in, the different state that Israel was in, and all the things that are going on at one time, right?
Yeah.
There's so much background information that's not written here.
Yeah, for sure.
So much. And like you said, even even analyzing some of the characters, we're able to kind of fill in the blanks and really get to see it play out, right? Like it's playing out in a movie in front of us. Yeah. And we really get to, like Dr. Jeffrey said, bring it even to today. And what does that mean? Even on the smallest level, the smallest level of a commitment. Then look at it on this level. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, to be committed to pray once a day. You know what I'm saying? Like that's such a minuscule level compared to don't get me wrong, it's a good, it's a good thing, of course. But to have that heart and commitment to this extent. Yeah. That goes beyond, because I'm telling you, as a parent, I'm sitting here reading this and I'm just like, man, I don't know if I could have did that. Like I'm like, being 100% honest.
For sure.
Right. That is such a daunting task. Like, like you said, that's like Abraham and Isaac, right? Please send a goat. Please let something come to replace this. Like, and to go through with that, right? It's just.
But look at that. We are comparing him to Abraham. You know what I mean? I mean, that's not like
that's saying something.
Sure. Saying, the person that was called perfect in that way, So I think, but again, I totally agree. And I think today, again, we don't even know what commitment is, I think, and don't know what the power of the word is, the power of family is. And I think we're so backwards today that all of this is sort of a foreign concept,
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So let's keep going, because we're like, well, hey, that's enough for the story to end there, but there's more. Yeah. So after all of this, we're like, Jephthah, after everything he did and everything he has to deal with that with his daughter and all those things that had to happen with that vow, and now he has something else to deal with. Let's go to the next slide. All right. So this is after all this now. The men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and went northward and said unto Jephthah, wherefore passest thou over to fight against the children of Ammon, and didst not call us to go with thee? We will burn thine house upon thee with fire. So it's just okay. Who's Ephraim? Like, what's going on here? Somebody make this make sense.
Ephraim is us still, is what we learned. Ephraim is still Israel. It's still us. It's their brothers, basically, right? Manasseh, Ephraim, their brothers. So here they are. They ready to fight. They're showing this. We love you. Why you didn't take us? But now we gonna burn your house down. I think it's funny.
And the irony is they come from Joseph, right?
Yeah.
We're saying his story,
Yes.
Kind of related to this.
Exactly.
Yes. So we were talking about this before in the prep for this, just the kind of the history that's here between Ephraim and Manasseh. So they're both Joseph's sons, and they had a special place in the children of Israel because of Joseph. We talk about, again, family lineage and how because of that they were blessed, right? And they were blessed. If you read into Genesis chapter 38, when Jacob is giving out the blessings to his children, he's blessing Ephraim and Manasseh as well. He says, Joseph, because of you have been the savior, so to speak, for us at this time in Egypt, and all the things that you have done, you're going to get a double blessing and that in an inheritance that your sons Ephraim and Manasseh will be blessed. And so then they're counted among the 12. They're counted there, and Jacob says that they are now my children, just as Levi and Judah are my children. They're my children, and so he gives them. So you see, when you see the land being divided, you'll see, along with Judah, along with Dan, along with Naphtali, along with Reuben, you'll see Ephraim has their own piece of land, and Manasseh has their own piece of land. Right? Collectively, that's just Joseph. But they have their own tribe. So they were elevated. And so in the blessing as Jacob is about to die, and Jacob brings the sons to receive their blessings, and you can read this in Genesis, the right hand is your powerful hand, right? That's the right hand that you make your vows with usually, or make promises with, or and so it's also one that you're blessed with. And so when he goes to bless the sons, he puts his right hand on the younger, right, which is Ephraim, and Joseph tries to correct them, thinking like, oh, the old man probably don't know what he's doing, and he said, no, you understand, the younger will be the greater. And so, ever since then, you'll see in some of the history. We talked about it a little before, probably didn't pick up on it, even back with Gideon and a couple other times prior to that, where there's this conflict between Ephraim and Manasseh. And most times it's Ephraim, because, they're trying to, hey, we're supposed to be the chosen ones. Why are you flexing? So anyway, there's history behind all this, and so, but the whole point of bringing this up is because we're like, wow, wait a minute. This is they were being, oppressed. Israel's being oppressed by a foreign nation, and then your brother comes and fixes the situation, and now you're at odds with your brother. Like, you'd rather just stay enslaved and not let your brother, get the victory. Like, who's the matter if I get the victory, you get the victory?
Exactly.
We're all family. We're all free now to do what we want to do, but we're fighting amongst ourselves. It just seems so ridiculous. Yeah. But it also feels characteristic of us today too.
Yeah, it reminds me of I think you told the story too of conversations about reparations. Mm-hmm. And we end up fighting about who gets it amongst us and how much we're going to get, as opposed to
yeah, for sure.
It was a big argument now.
Yeah.
They call it who's foundational Black Americans, and
exactly.
It's like, oh my gosh, come on.
So let's go. I think we only have like 10 minutes left, so let's keep going. We finish out this part of it. So, and Jephthah said unto them, I and my people were at great strife with the children of Ammon. My people, right? It's like, okay. We're all like, I don't like that so much, because we're talking to Ephraim, but we're brothers. Oh, it's us, right? If you heard, I heard, right? I and my people were at great strife with the children of Ammon, and when I called you, you delivered me not out of their hands. And when I saw that you delivered me not, I put my life in my hands and passed over against the children of Ammon, and the Lord delivered them into my hand. Wherefore then are ye come unto me this day to fight against me? Then Jephthah gathered together all the men of Gilead and fought with Ephraim. And the men of Gilead smote Ephraim, because they said, ye Gileadites are fugitives of Ephraim among the Ephraimites and among the Manasseh.
He's fighting words.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yes. Especially to Jephthah, because he can.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's personal. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Personal.
You know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
He was with it.
Those are the wrong words to use.
Right.
It reminds me of I'm not sure if you guys saw the Michael Jordan doc, where he's like, and I took that personal.
Oh yeah. Because it's like, it's such a sad, just like, come on, guys. It's one of those things, like, you can imagine the God of Israel, you get word, you're like, come on, y'all. Like, what are y'all doing? What exactly are y'all doing? Mm-hmm. Like, y'all are upset over who got the victory in this battle, instead of being appreciative that victory was gained in the first place.
Yeah.
You guys,
and I remember they went and got him, So
yeah, and he's like, what do you mean? And again, right? He's like, hey, I sent help for you guys.
Yeah,
you guys didn't answer me,
right?
And now you come, and like you said, for them to say, hey, you know what? You're not one of us anyway.
Yeah.
It's like those childhood wounds.
Yeah,
pulling a Band-Aid off. You're like, oh no, I'm not letting this go.
Yeah. And so, and it also speaks to, like, that feud between the brothers continue on. And if we go back to the book of Joshua, when they were dividing up the land, and Reuben and all those, when after there was the war over against the Canaanites, and Reuben and Manasseh and Gad went back over to Jordan, they built a statue there. And in that statue, they built it and said, hey, listen, generations are going to come down the line where, because we're on the other side of the river, they're going to think those are different people. Like, those are not part of us. This is here. We're not worshiping this thing. We just want to make sure that our children's children and even your children understand we are all Israel, even though we may, maybe in this part of the land. And so that whole idea about, you can imagine, they're over there on the side. They're not really a part of us,
Yeah.
But it's just all these reasons that you can put up to divide us, whatever it is. It could be East Coast, West Coast. It could be North, South. It could be U.S., U.K., and Canada. It could be whatever. All of those divisions could be. There always could be a reason for us to try to do that whole tribalism thing, and that's not what we're about. We're all one. We're all one. We serve one God. We have an altar that we all come to. We have, and so you see, that's that unity that we really need. And understand, we see the character. You read the character of these people, and then close the book and look around the world and say, who fits this character? Who are we talking about today? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Wow.
We're such strange people, man. Like I always say this, right? When I see us do brilliant things, I'm like, I'm not shocked. When I see us do horrible things, I'm like, I'm not shocked. We are just like, we are such a wide variety of just everything.
Either way.
And it's like, because even with Jephthah's wisdom and everything he, imposes, it's like, you wish more, like, hey, let's be a little bit more reserved. Even though they was coming, it's like, wait a minute, guys, we're family. Let's calm down. Look at the way that was, that he dealt with the children of Ammon.
Yeah.
Versus this conversation, it's completely different.
But I would say that he seems to try to say, hey guys, or try to reason. But I think that word fugitive, had to get a little bit of a
And the context, when you catch someone, right? Okay, you catch someone different. He went through that battle, but look what just happened with him and his daughter.
Yeah.
Right? So that's got to change at some point. That gotta be like, look,
it affected the
day's not the day.
Do not come to me with this.
Not the one Maybe yesterday.
For sure. It's like, nah. So let's go to the next one. We got like 5 minutes. Let's jump because there's a little more to this. So Ephraim, and I think Minister Anthony, if you could do this, because this.
All right. Let me see. 5 through 12. Right. No, 5 through 7. I'm sorry. And the Gileadites took the pastures of Jordan before the Ephraimites, and it was so that when those Ephraimites which were escaped said, "Let me over there," that the men of Gilead said unto him, "Art thou an Ephraimite? If he say nay, then said they unto him, Say now, Shibboleth," and how he said Sibboleth, for he could not frame to pronounce it right. Then they took him and slew him at the passages of Jordan, and there fell at that time of the Ephraimites 42,000. And Jephthah judged Israel 6 years, then died. Jephthah the Gileadite was buried in one of the cities of Gilead.
Yeah.
Silliness, just absolute silliness.
So I'm a transplant, right? Here in St. Louis. So, if the question came up, oh, you from here? And
wait a minute.
What would you like actually to say to prove whether I'm from St. Louis or not?
You say here, or there. Yeah. Look, I'm trying to say it right. We're live. I can't say it the St. Louis way. I can't say here. I can't say it that way. So I'm trying to pronounce it right. But this is how we know based on that dialect. We're like, oh, you're not from around here.
Right.
You're not
That's such a black thing too.
That is. That's what I'm trying to say. Absolutely. Yes. That's right. Who are we talking about? For sure.
You from the East Coast? Like, and for them to say, "Hey, say Sibboleth." Say it. You heard how he said it? No. Kill him.
He ain't from around here.
Yeah.
He ain't from around here.
Oh man, that's a St. Louis thing. That's a St. Louis thing.
Oh yeah, it's all. When I went to Chicago, I got the same thing, and I remember being upset. I was like, we live 5 hours away from each other.
Yeah.
We're the same Midwest. They're like, no, you guys are country.
Yeah.
I remember being so upset. Like, I'm not country. For my people listening in Toronto, they always make fun of me.
But one reason I love to travel, because there's different ways of saying things and doing things. from the East Coast. I went to college in Alabama, my first year in Alabama, and I remember being on campus, and some of the local girls were like, "Oh, say water, say water. You say water funny." I'm like, "What is it? Water? Water? Say it again. Say it again." But it's just it's water. It's like, oh, you say water funny. It's different, right? But like you said, to me, part of that characteristic of distinguishing people that way is just like you said, such a Black thing. It's just a Jacob thing.
Yeah,
it sure was.
Some evidence that you kind of see who these people are and who we are.
Yeah.
So, it was a beautiful journey today. I think I was hoping we can get one of the other judges in today, but I don't know. There was so much meat here. I didn't want to rush through it.
Oh man,
I think there's some gems. Hopefully, again, we can hold for us today. So, we got like a minute left. Give me some final words, anybody. What are your reflections on what we spoke about today, and what people should leave with?
I know one thing for me, because he judged for 6 years. Look what happened prior to him judging Israel, even afterwards, and that 6 years, that emotional roller coaster he went on.
Yeah.
And just that, and it really shows us, right, that the battle isn't over. I'm sorry, the war isn't over with one battle.
Yeah.
Like you never know when the next thing is popping up. You never know where it's coming from. So you always have to remain ever vigilant around every corner or every, all through our life, right? There's no day off, right? You just have to remain on guard, right? As the elder says, right? Always stay ready so you never have to get ready.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
For me, I like to say, just one of the things that stuck out to me through the whole lesson was like, be wise, watch what you say, just be wise. Just like Jephthah was wise when he responded, even going all the way back to the story that we was talking about earlier in the scriptures about being across the river from each other and having to put up a altar or I forgot what they put, a statue to let them know.
Yeah.
That whole being wise is very important for us to stay in the right, spaces. And I think it's missing today in the world, just people not being wise to talk to one another with respect and just to understand each other. So I think being wise is a big thing for me.
Dr. Blair?
When you want something and you pray to the God of Israel, think of it as a relationship. And when you offer something, you have to fulfill that promise. That's my takeaway.
That's right.
And be wise.
Yes. I would say be committed like Jephthah was. He was committed to the God of Israel. And as everyone else said, that when you vow something, be careful what you vow, because you do have to carry out, because you're talking to a holy God. It's not one of your buddies. This is the Almighty One. So I would say be committed to a God of Israel.
Amen. All right. Thank you, guys. St. Louis branch is like Nationwide Ministries. Hopefully you guys had a really good lesson today. Please throw in your comments, questions, all those various things into the chat. And don't forget, check us tomorrow, Saturday, 2:00 for our lesson. Be given, come down to headquarters, and like, share, and comment on this program. We thank you guys so much. Until next time, peace.
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 Peace.